Hello and welcome to Chocolate Good Game. It's match preview of West Ham United against Everton. The last game before another international break, but it's the last international break of 2024. Gonzo, would you like to kick us off with your thoughts on the Evertonians, please?
Yeah, club that seems to be in perennial trouble, really. Always on the cusp of getting new ownership, takeovers, stadiums. These things just seem to drag on. And I understand the stadium is not it's a lot further along than well underway. Obviously, the new ownership model being transferred over again. I don't think the 777, that's it, partners never materialised. They got a new group in there. It's always seems to be in recent years a state of transition and a state of flux. Points deductions and just so much. They're just constantly firefighting at the moment. It just seems to be a million miles away from, the Everton of past, who were, for a while under Howard Kendall, were really battling Liverpool to be, one of the top clubs in Europe, certainly the top club in England. And I just think a pretty difficult time. And I got a lot of sympathy for Everton, actually. I think there's, I think there's a lot of similarities. There certainly has been over the years, particularly with a fan base as well, overshadowed in a city by, sort of a more media friendly club. And, everyone's favourite is, on nationally is maybe, certainly Sky Sports' favourite would be Liverpool and stuff like that. So, they just constantly struggling, Gio, and I do have a certain level of sympathy for them, actually.
Yeah, I struggle to keep up with them, to be honest with you. I like to try and keep up to date with what's going on at the Premier League clubs and for doing these videos, and also I'm reasonably interested. But I feel like with Everton, they're the club I've got to tune into the most in order to keep up to date with what's happening. And if you were to go a couple of months without keeping up to date with what's happening at Everton, I feel like you can miss quite a lot actually when you do go back to it. Then, well, hang on a minute, a lot's changed. But other clubs is maybe not that much different. You could go a month or two, you tune into some fan channels, see what they're saying, and it's pretty similar to what they were discussing when you last listened in. So I haven't got my finger on the pulse when it comes to their current takeover proposal. And I say current one because hopefully it goes through for the sake of their fans. But it's hard to be confident as a neutral given how many other takeovers have been proposed and fallen through. And everyone, I say everyone, a lot of, if you dislike your owners, I think we can be guilty of thinking we've got the worst owners in the league, not just West Ham. And that's applicable to every fan. Man United will sit there going, well, we've got the worst owners in the league. I think Everton might have a really good case to say that they've got the worst, they're the worst run Premier League club in the division. And it would be hard to argue with that one as a neutral. I do hope they get sorted because they are a big club. And, when I was growing up, they were down at the bottom, and then they were good again, and they were down at the bottom. And it feels like not many clubs are able to knock on the relegation trapdoor and continuously stay away from it. Eventually, that door opens for most teams. But Everton, I feel like have been doing it for longer than anyone else without actually getting relegated. And I'm just speaking in recent seasons. And I still think they'll be okay this season. And hopefully they can change their ownership, move into their new stadium. And I hope that works out well for them because for us, it didn't. You even get Tottenham fans, Tottenham maybe have a magnificent stadium for football, but even they're suggesting that it's killed a little bit of something just moving into that new shiny ground. It's just killed something. I hope that doesn't happen to Everton. In terms of potentially getting relegated, they're down the bottom currently. Gonzo, do you think they will go down or do you think they'll be all right?
It's a possibility. They're not very good. Yeah. I think it all depends on Wolves. If Wolves can get some momentum going, Wolves have got better players than Everton. I was watching, some of the Wolves players the other day and thinking, you're not far off from clicking. Watch Everton against Southampton, and I didn't feel that. In fact, the more I watched it, I think we're a bad team. West Ham are not good. And I was watching Everton. I thought, actually, they might be worse than us. So I think it's down to Wolves. I think Ipswich and Southampton will go down. Obviously, I do feel it is down to Wolves. If Wolves change manager, they've got enough players there that could get them up and running again. Really,
So are you quite confident Leicester is going to stay up?
I'm not quite confident, but I look at they've got a bit about them. I look at look, Cooper. I wouldn't want Cooper at West Ham.
No.
But he's got something. They've got a bounce. They've got spirit. There's a depression around Everton, and I think I recognise it because I've seen it over the years permeating at West Ham, and they got a little bounce, a little spring in their step. Even Vardy's got a little bit of something happening at Leicester. They've got a couple of players. They've got can't even think who it is. They've got a really energetic midfielder in there as well, which I think is really important. And they got something about them, Leicester. Good fullback. And I just looked at Everton. I looked at their two fullbacks at the weekend. That ain't good. I think it's down to Wolves. I think they can go down, but I think if Wolves remain, I don't feel that Everton are unlucky. I sometimes watch Wolves and think, they might have got a bit unlucky there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, the truth of the matter is I don't know. And I'm sorry, I'm not being mean to Everton fans. I actually feel sorry for them. And I do see a lot of similarities between Everton and West Ham. And I think which makes me recognise it a little bit more.
So, yes or no? Prediction. Bit of fun.
Fun? Everton fans think this ain't bloody fun. This is a shit video.
I was going to say it's the game no one's looking forward to, and that includes Everton and West Ham.
I'll say no. I'll say no.
No, I don't think they'll get relegated either. I think it'll be the 3 promoted teams. I agree with you about Leicester, but Everton have played all 3 promoted teams away from home, picked up 4 points. Drawn with Leicester, beating Ipswich, and losing against Southampton. Unlucky to lose against Southampton, I think. And I think that's using that as a barometer. I think they'll do okay then. I think those results, bar Southampton obviously, but for Ipswich and Leicester, I think those results were bad for them, whereas I think they were all right for Everton. But I think they'll just stay up 15, 16, maybe even 17, somewhere in around there. I think they'll say. In regards to Sean Dyche, then, come under for a lot of stick. He's sort of been one of the favourites to get sacked since the season kicked off. And I guess he's known as a bit of a firefighter. It's one of those, if Everton sack Dyche, who they're going to bring in, they'll probably go after someone like Dyche. And now there's an obvious candidate sat there, but do you think they should stick with him, or do you feel like...
I'm reluctant to say, just because of how much we got told to stick with Moyes, but because it's up to them. They know, and they know far better than me. I know that's not a great thing to say on a video when you're asking my opinion. What I would say is they've had people in there. They must be looking at Marco Silva thinking, hold on a second.
Yeah.
How come he's doing that there and he couldn't do it else? But again, I understand it. It's hard. It's a hard job for anyone, so it doesn't really matter whether it's. But this is what I think could happen. I think you could actually swap Dyche for Marco Silva, by the way, and I think Fulham would still do okay this season, and I think Everton could still be languishing at the bottom. I don't even think necessarily a better coach. Even Marco Silva going in there, not necessarily, because I just think possibly the environment at Everton is not great for whoever. I know they had Ancelotti for a bit, and they were unlucky. That was unlucky timing that they, someone came and, a big club came and nicked him, which is when they've probably looked at their best in recent years. Of course, I'm not saying a world-class manager makes no difference. That's not what I'm saying, but I just think it's probably a hard club to manage. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of Dyche and then the next guy struggled a bit as well. Because I just don't think there's a good environment there for anyone to succeed at the moment. So, but yeah, look, whether they should, I don't know. But I understand both things. I understand why they would want him to go, because they do look crap.
Yeah,
I totally get it, and that's really up to them. But I also understand why some people say, well, he kept us up when we had the points deduction. Both can be true. You haven't got to choose one or the other. I think it's tough. I don't think it's an easy choice.
Yeah, I can agree with some of you say. I do think they'd improve if they went and got someone like Marco Silva. It might not be significant, and then they'd bounce up into the top half of the league, but I think they'd be a lot better. And when I was preparing for this preview, I was thinking, I'm not seeing loads of Everton this season. And I looked at the results. I thought, I watched that game. It turns out I have seen plenty of them. But, to lose the way they did against Aston Villa with a 2-goal lead, that's the type of game that someone like Dyche usually grinds out. And you think this is not a good thing for him. And against Fulham, they got very lucky to snatch that point in the end. They were really stinky for that match. And for the last 5-10 minutes, they were playing Michael Keane up front. You thought, it stinks of desperation when your manager's, because he made a sub. I can't recall who went off. It was an attacking player went off, and Branthwaite came on. He's like, what are you doing? And he went into centre back. Michael Keane went on. And you thought, oh, this is it. And they got the equaliser via Beto, but you thought, wow, this is a tough watch. And I wasn't even joking when I said no one is looking forward to this game, and that includes Everton and West Ham fans. This game will probably be last on match of the day. No one's looking at this thinking, oh, that'll be a good game to watch. No one. In regards to players you admire?
Not many. I mean, Branthwaite, but he's not in the team. He's been dropped for Keane, I believe. So
he was injured at the start of the season.
Was he? Okay. Yeah. I mean, he was linked with whatever £60 million move to Manchester United last season. I thought, yeah, okay. I didn't look at everything how much. He seemed to be a really, really good player. I mean, yeah, McNeil, but I mean, he looks tired by it. I think he's probably exhausting to work there. You know, I'd throw Dyche into that as well. You know, it's got to be a tough place to work. Sorry, it sounds really depressing, doesn't it? But yeah, sorry. No, I can't. I don't want to just pluck out players for the sake of it. I could sit here and say Tarkowski, and he's looked decent over the years, but I mean, he's a journeyman professional footballer. I don't look at their team and see many good players at all. No, sorry.
Too much huffers and puffers. I think in a side, even the most successful teams, there's always one or two players you look at, and they're not the most talented players in the world, but their work rate's there, and they're quite important to how the team functions. They've got a very important role. And if you were to look at West Ham's team over the years, you'd look at Soufal and Souček and say limited players ability-wise, but what they give you elsewhere is why they're in the team, and they allow the other players to play really well. And I think Everton almost have a team of those average players that work really hard. And I think you can only go so far with a side like that. I think you are missing that star quality. There's someone that can just produce something, that little bit of magic, that little bit of excitement. And it almost feels like if Everton are going to score, it's going to come from a set piece or a cross, something that almost relies on hard work and training ground stuff rather than somebody cutting in field and slamming in a 30-yarder.
Sure.
And I think looked really good, was really good at Sheffield United, went to Marseille, did pretty averagely, I think, and then he's gone to Everton. He's looked someone that could do something when I watched him. Dwight McNeil's now playing the number 10 role. Calvert-Lewin's still just one of the weirdest strikers in the pen, and I don't even mean because he's on the front cover with a handbag, but I mean in terms of just 1 minute he looks like a really good Premier League striker, the next he looks like he can't be arsed, and the next you watched him go, what's the point? But then Dyche will take him off, put Beto on, and continue to play the way they do with Calvert-Lewin. It's almost like, oh, he's big, launch it. But then when you watch Beto get the ball on the deck, he's actually pretty quick. He's pretty nifty, but I don't think Everton really utilised that aspect of his game. It's almost like we have to have a target man, regardless of who the striker is. Lindstrom still working him out. Midfield is average. Gay, Decore, Mangala, James Garner, just average Premier League players. Like you said, Ashley Young playing fullback. It's either him or Seamus Coleman. And which OAP do you want? And,
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, their strengths are at centre back, and I think that's where you look at Sean Dyche. You say that's the most Dyche thing ever. Branthwaite and Tarkowski, and obviously Pickford and goal. So some good players, but yeah, I'm not sure about them. Anyway, shall we talk about our team?
Unfortunately, so. Don't worry, Everton. It's not going to get much better.
This is a really morbid preview. Everyone's crap. He's crap. He's crap. The guy in dugout doesn't know what he's doing. Relegation battling candidates. You can decide if we're talking about Everton or West Ham. The team news for the Hammers. There's only really two players. That's Kudus and Alvarez, both suspended for this one. Obviously, Kudus has had his ban extended, but he was suspended for this one anyway. So the two more games added on. That's the Newcastle and Arsenal game. After being, it's going to be Christmas before we see him again. Edson Alvarez has a one-match ban after his red card last weekend, which is this fixture. Niklas Füllkrug, he might appear on a German quiz show or something this week, but I don't think he's going to be appearing on the bench for West Ham.
No.
That's the state of play.
I think we've been done. I think we might have been done by Dortmund, quite frankly.
Anyway, this is the team myself and Gonzo would like to see, not what we think Lopetegui Will do. Completely different things at the moment. In goal, who would you like and what would your defence
I was
look
just thinking, actually, it reminds me of I think it was a Renault 19 that I bought some years ago, and that was I thought I was buying a good car. They did a Dortmund on me. I bought that. I bought a second-hand car. That was very full crook like actually. I thought I was buying a decent, reliable car, and it broke down. It broke down on the A31 near Alton. There you go. It was horrendous. Anyway, sorry. In goal, Fabianski, please, because he can catch and make a couple of saves. I mean, he might let in lots of goals as well, but he possibly won't concede at his near post. So yeah, we'll go with Fabianski in goal.
Yeah, he's been playing well. Listen, he plays like that week in, week out until the end of the season. He's a sudden contender for Ham of the Year, but I think that says more about the rest of them than him. Well, he's had good marks, hasn't he? He's put in some good performances. You know, he's stopped us getting a hiding in the last 2 games. We've still, you know, we won 1-2.
We got hiding in the last game.
Yeah, well, it stopped it being worse, didn't it?
Yeah.
Could have been 4, 5, 6, and against Man U, we could have been 3 down before half time. Wasn't for him. Your defence.
Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman, and Emerson.
Not fancying a bit of wing backs?
I don't want to ever see wing backs again. Honestly, I've done. It was horrendous. It was horrendous. The positions that he's. I don't mind anyone changing formation, but I remember sitting there on a preview and then someone saying, "Well, do you not think Bowen will struggle?" And is Paquetá going to be on the right? And I said, "No, don't be silly. He's not going to do that, is he? Not going to do that. No. He'll have a good plan in mind." Well, he didn't. It was awful. So the positions it forces other players to play in with his wing backs, I can't. Can he just play a centre back at centre back, right back at right back, and we can have the winger on the wing? It's going to sound crazy, this stuff. Maybe the number 10 in the number 10 role and a striker. I don't think it'll take much to beat Everton. But if anyone can mess it up, it's this bloke.
It's funny when you speak about the right players in the right position. I think we've got a bit of a problem with one of the positions you just spoke about, but we'll get onto that because that's in midfield. But yeah, the goalkeeper defence picks itself for me. Now that should be pissed off actually if that is not the defence he puts out. There's no reason. There's no reason to play 3 at the back against Everton. Let's be generous and call it 3 at the back and. Your wing backs are practically wide midfield. They're really attacking. There's no need for Todibo, Kilman, and Mavropanos up against their one striker with Dwight McNeil in the number 10. Just forget it. Get Wan-Bissaka right back up against Ndai, who I think is one of their biggest threats. Get our one-on-one defender up against him, and it sort of just takes away their best ball traveller possibly. No excuses. Moving into midfield then, this is where the rest of the team actually, we've got a bit of an issue on our hands with no Alvarez and no Kudus and no Fulkrug and no player in form. So what would you like in midfield?
Well, I think he's got no choice. I think there's no choice there at all. I think he's going to have to play Rodriguez and he's going to have to play Souček in there. And I think he'll have to play Paquetá in a number 10, I guess. Or is he going to wait? Are we going to see what Soler can do now? I don't know. I'd almost play them probably as a slightly tighter 3. You haven't got to do a lot to get. The fullbacks are poor, are really poor. You don't have to be overly creative like this. You don't have to stick to Debo in midfield. You don't have to get the fullbacks going forward all the time. Our 2 wingers are skilled enough to do their 2 fullbacks, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. He can't get too crafty on this. No, I've got an idea. I've got no tactical ideas, mate. Do that. Keep it tight at the back, and you might actually win this game. You might keep your job.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think there's some fixtures in the league where you can just rely on your players being better than their players kind of thing. And I think this is one of them. I think, Bowen up against Michaelenko, who I think's had an okay season when I've seen him, and then Somerville up against a 38-year-old Ashley Young. And he got bullied last week, but you've got to be saying to Somerville, look, this is the game. If you're going to get bullied, he's an experienced player and he's a wily old fox and whatnot, but you ain't getting the better of 38-year-olds and you've got a bit of a problem on your hands. So I agree with you. I think it's got to be Souček and Rodriguez. Irving, I haven't seen anything to say that he shouldn't start. The problem is I'm not seeing anything to say he should start. Yeah. Rodriguez is slow, but we're coming up against a team that is arguably just as slow as we are. So he'd get. I think he'll be okay in his fixture. And Souček has to start, and I thought we missed him. I thought we missed him last week when he was absent with his virus. Bowen on the right and Somerville on the left for me. Now I'm going to disagree about your number 10 in Paqueta because, like you said, number 10s and number 10s, but I just don't feel like he's playing with like one at the minute. I don't think he's playing very well at all. One booking away from a suspension. I can see that coming as well if he starts this game. Solar again. I've just not seen much. I'm hoping he comes good, but it's pure just faith now. So I would leave no number 10. I'm assuming you're having Bowen and Somerville.
Oh, you're going to go 4-4-2?
I am. I'm just going old school.
Yeah. But again,
school.
why not? Keep it simple. Just do something simple. You could say Antonio and Ings for you.
Yeah.
Yes. I just think he's too. I'll go Antonio up front. But I just think he's too creative and he's too. For those of you, what did we do? Oh, it was Mug of Tea. It was Mug. Yeah, so you wouldn't have heard it. Okay, so yeah, sorry, we did a Mug of Tea. We called a Mug of Tea over on Patreon, and we were answering questions over there. We were just saying on Mug of Tea that it's almost like we tried to employ someone who was totally different to David Moyes. The only time we've looked any good under Lopetegui is when we've played a bit like David Moyes. But it's almost like because he accepted the job on the terms that he had to be different, he's trying to be crafty, he's trying to be creative, he's trying to make himself into something he's not. And he's possibly looking at Pep Guardiola or as an innovator and will play John Stones in a funny position and, play centre-backs at full-back and full-backs in midfield and all this sort of stuff. I just wonder if he's looking at it thinking, I'm gonna come up with some stuff. I'm gonna come up with some stuff myself here. Let me show you boys. Hey, Pep Schmep. Let me show you what the J-Lo can do. And it's just crap. And so I'll Mike Bassett 4-4 effing 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it, right? I'm not sitting here. Look, we're 9 weeks away from 2025, and I'm wanting Ings and Antonio up front. It's nothing. it's slim pickings, right?
Yeah.
But I think Antonio's looked okay, right? He's had some 1 or 2 good games. He's had more poor games than good ones. Let's get him some support. Ings, we know, needs a support striker. So I feel like it's important to get them playing together for this fixture. I expect we will have more possession than they will. And it doesn't, listen, I appreciate it doesn't sound the most exciting, but the thing is with Antonio and Ings, they've both shown this season, they're both willing to drop back and do the dirty work. And so while it's 4-4-2 in possession, there's nothing preventing one of them getting back and helping out defensively and turning it into like a 4-5-1 when we're out of possession. But I just want to, we are struggling to create chances. We're really struggling to do anything in open play. And I think with those two in the box, Somerville on the left, Bowen on the right, Souček gallivanting down the middle, it's a bit ugly, but let's just get the ball out wide and get the ball into the box with Souček, Antonio and Ings in there. There's goals in those, but only to get the supply. And it's terrible that we've spent over 100 million. I'm looking, thinking, I don't really like what we've got to pick from.
No.
I appreciate we're missing 3 players, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's very underwhelming at the minute. Certain players are out of form, like Paqueta. Certain players haven't done much, like Solar, and some players we haven't seen, like Fulkrug. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, big game for Mr. Lopetegui.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game for him. There's a. I mean, just to say this now, for what I was saying about about Everton at the start of the video, there's a depression hanging over West Ham at the moment. It's to be fair, I'm not even that bothered. Some people are posting on social media. West Ham claimed they won the transfer window. Actually, we didn't. It was other people saying, have West Ham won the transfer window? It's just not like a West Ham type thing to say. They've always completely misunderstood the West Ham massive stuff, which is an ironic chant. It's because we've been relegated and so many things for so long. We get a little bit of glory and we start saying, hey, brilliant, West Ham know their place. But I think it's hard. There's a lethargy around not just the team, but around West Ham. And he's had a week on the training grounds, Lopetegui, and expectations are incredibly low. and amongst the fan base, incredibly low. There is no excuse because, yes, we are missing some players, but Everton do not have a Jarrod Bowen that they can call on, or don't have somebody of that quality. They really, really don't. And wide areas, we are better than them. They don't have fullbacks to match ours. Our wingers are better. We have better players than them, and I understand they got some good centre backs, but even someone like Thomas Souček has got a goal scoring record from midfield that none of their players have got, and we've got some decent players in there. And do you know what? Even if we don't know about Celeb, but we just signed him from Paris Saint-Germain, for goodness sake. You know what I mean? He's a Spain international. He's Paqueta. Okay, it ain't great, at the moment, far from it. We've got enough there, and then to really be able to go and win this game. And for Lopetegui, he needs to, because I've looked around all season. I've been saying it all season, Gio, that the Premier League, I feel the Premier League's got a little bit faster. There seem to be these faster. Everyone seems to have a fast wide player, players that can get in behind you from wide areas, and seem to have these faster, more athletic people in midfield and all the rest of it. And I felt like the Premier League's evolved. And I think for the majority of teams, that's the case. I don't feel that's the case with Everton. I think they're like us. I don't think they have. I think they're, as I say, I think honestly, I think they've, they're a few years. Well, it's like I said, I said it on our podcast on Patreon. There's a town down in Dorset who's just got a Costa coffee. And I say, oh, look at this, and a cappuccino and all the rest of it. We feel like that. West Ham and Everton feel the same. We feel like we're years behind. Everyone's moved on. Do you know what I mean? That's actually what we're doing is nothing new at all. And the game has moved on. It's got quicker. Everton are there. He will not get, if this is El Sacchio, he will not. I almost don't think he could get. I would rather play Everton than I would rather play Southampton at the moment. I'm not saying that because he could have scored at the end, Beto. I'm not saying that because Everton just lost against Southampton. But there are not. I would rather play Everton than Wolves at the moment for reasons I've already said. Everton or Leicester, I'd rather play Everton. I couldn't. It's very hard to cherry pick a better team for us to play at home than Everton. If he can't win this, I can't think of a game of football that he could win.
Yeah. Anyway, before I talk about Lopetegui, we've got a couple of mugs in store. Not me and Gonzo. We're on the store. But you can't purchase us. We've got this mug here, which is the Unt mug. We've got that one there. And we've also got our Iron Brew Iniesta mug. Well, it says Irving, but Iron Brew Irving mug there on the store. But also Christmas jumpers. We've got 41 left in stock. I'm doing a very different marketing method between now and Christmas. I'm just going to tell you how many we've got in stock of all Christmas jumpers and across all sizes. We've got 41, and I'm hoping they all go because that box has been in my room for over a year now. It's big. I want it gone. Mrs. Gio has been getting on at me for a year. I'm under pressure. So if you want a Christmas jumper, get it ordered now. hammerchatstore.com. We've got this one, and we've got a different design as well with a bit of a Christmas tree that says I'm forever blowing bubbles. Now, in regards to Lopetegui, for myself, I think this is a huge game. I've actually been, normally, I don't like this talk of when you get sacked. I don't like it. And I think I've found this week, my mentality's changed. And I'll tell you why I've come to my own conclusion here. The reason I didn't like it in the past is because I never believed it. You must win this game. Oh, no, you won't. Leave it. You're not going to sack him. Leave it. Oh, what are you doing this for? Threatening him. You ain't going to do it, though, even if we do lose. In some of those games, we would lose and be like, 3 more. Oh, that's changed, isn't it? Right? But the build up to this game, win or you're out, I've actually found myself thinking, good. Do you know what? Good. And maybe I'm a bit naive, maybe I'm a bit of a fool, but I kind of believe this one because for the reason I've discussed previously, Lopetegui's situation is different to David Moyes. Moyes had credit in the bank. Lopetegui got none. Moyes was the board's pick, and that was that. Well, this time round, Lopetegui wasn't everyone's pick. He was David Sullivan's pick. There's more voices in the boardroom than there was previously. But those voices joined when David Moyes was already here. They didn't have a say in appointing David Moyes. They had a say in appointing or not appointing Lopetegui. So I think there's more pressure. All the reasons I felt that Moyes was untouchable, they are not applicable to Lopetegui. There's more reasons as to why I think his job is on the line at the moment. So when I've seen all these articles, and quite respectable ones as well, like The Athletic, I think they're getting that message is coming from somewhere or someone. And the only person that's really gobby at the club for the English-based media is David Sullivan. Who was the one person that wanted Lopetegui? Was David Sullivan. So if he said he better win, I'm thinking, good, this is it. This is what I want to see. I want ruthlessness. I want decisive action. I completely agree with what you said about Everton. I would rather play Everton out of anyone else bar Ipswich, and we've already played them, so we can't have that game. This is the best fixture for Lopetegui. But I tell you what, this is the best fixture for Sean Dyche as well. There's no one you want to play more than West Ham right now. These are two poor managers, two poorly performing teams, and I'm quite confident it's going to be a crap game on Saturday, but it's a huge game for both managers. And I want to see more than just I want to see a win, but I want to see more than a win. I want to see something that makes me go, well done. I enjoyed watching that. We deserved that win, because there's been some games this season, like Man U, we won. I thought, whoa, you got lucky there. And it's been confirmed we got lucky, because it's now come out that penalty should never have been awarded, which I think most West Ham fans knew and said at the time.
Of course.
So basically it's been confirmed you got lucky. We knew that. He's got to get the win. It's as simple as that. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's just not even a win for me. It's a win and a really good performance is what I'm looking for. Gonzo, before you tell me if you're confident, you've got 60 seconds starting now. Can you promote Match Bingo, please? Go.
Match Bingo, absolutely brilliant. Mixes bingo, mixes football. Rather than having numbers on your bingo card, you've got events happening in a game, throw-ins, tackles, corners, stuff that's going to happen. There's basically 15 things that you need to happen throughout a match, and those 15 things are arranged in 3 lines of 5. Add it together, 3 5s, 15. There you go. Get 1 line. First person to get a line gets a payout. Second person to get a line, not that type of line, when you like disgraceful behaviour, gets a payout. Full house gets a payout as well, and there's a bonus pot as well. It's 18 and over. It is betting, but the stakes are very, very low. We've got a special offer for you as well. Deposit £10 into your account and you get £20 worth of credit. You can just put £2 cards on a game. Do the West Ham game. We've had loads of winners. We had a winner last week. 60 seconds, am I done?
10 seconds left.
60 seconds. I've ruined it.
4 left. Just back that.
Pressure. Anyway.
Anyway.
Boing. Somebody won twice last week.
Links in description below as well. You forgot that bit. And there's a second promotion. You buy 3 cards for this game, you get 2 free. And this is the only Premier League game with this promotion. Every other Premier League game, you have to buy 4 to get 1 free. West Ham, Everton, buy 3, you get 2 free. It's because they sponsor Hammers Chat.
90 seconds next time. That was.
You weren't prepared. You didn't know I was going to do that.
Now.
Anyway, are you confident?
No. I don't need 60 seconds for that. By the way, no, I'm not. I'm not confident. How could you be? But I do suspect we'll win.
We could probably watch the highlights of the game in 60 seconds.
I know. Yeah. You may struggle to fill up your Match Bingo card. No, you won't really. The ball will be kicked and stuff like that. So it's quite easy to fill up your bingo card. No, I'm not confident. Are you confident?
No, not at all. Put it this way. When the fixture lists come out, obviously, you'll know by now, I'm getting married on Saturday. So when the fixture lists come out, I thought, oh, please don't be like a good game, whatever. And it was Everton at home. I thought, as we got closer to the game, I'm glad I'm getting married on Saturday. I really don't mind missing this game. I originally felt guilty that I was missing a match because it's work. It's like, oh no, we're not going to be doing the build-up show, the review. It's bad for work, bad for income for the business and all that sort of stuff. But as we got closer to the game, I'm thinking, do you know something? I'm always kind of glad that I've got a reasonable excuse to not watch the game. That's
good behaviour.
Which I think, listen, that says a lot more about West Ham than it does me. But no, I'm not confident at all. Listen, am I optimistic? Absolutely, I am, because they're not a difficult team. It's like Nottingham Forest. I was confident we were going to get beat. I'm not confident we're going to lose. Because Everton aren't good enough to be the team that does that. Now, I'm not saying they can't win. Of course they can. this game is one of those that's hard to predict this weekend, but it's not because, both teams are so good, which one will come out on top. It's both teams are so bad, which one will do slightly worse than the other one. And that's the mentality I've got going into this game. And I hate feeling like this. It's rubbish feeling like this. But you know what? It's not my fault I feel like this. I've got nothing to do with that. It's just my honest opinion and honest feelings ahead of the game. So optimistic, absolutely. But that's a reflection of the opponents. Confident, absolutely not. And that's a reflection on us.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's obviously some people that are, as ever, people seem to be separating into two camps, Lopetegui and Lopetegui out. And the people that want Lopetegui in, they're saying, he needs more time to implement his ideas and stuff like that. I think the biggest problem for me on that is, I think we've seen these ideas. I think the players understand these ideas. I don't buy into this, not able to communicate. As we mentioned the other day, I've seen far better managers with a less command of the English language be able to translate their ideas to the players. I think the players understand the ideas. The ideas just don't work. I think that's the problem. That was not a good idea. The players understood, and I think they probably carried out what they were meant to do against Nottingham Forest. But that was a bad idea to take Somerville, to take Paqueta, to take Bowen and put them all in different positions. It was a bad idea to ask the majority of attacking to be done by two fullbacks. It was just a bad idea to ask slow players to keep chasing back and making tackles. The ideas are there. So we're not seeing any better. And I think this is but as bad as those ideas might be, Gio, they might be enough to beat Everton. And that is, that's not great. And I do look at it and I do. So I'm going to give you my prediction now. I have looked at it this season. And even though I'm far from convinced of Lopetegui, I do think we're good enough to get 40 points this season. And I think with that in mind, that means we are going to pick up wins along the way. And I think it means we'll pick up wins against bad team. Everton are a bad team. I think we're going to win 1-0, and I think Lopetegui will save his job.
I think we're going to win 1-0 as well. Now, I was teetering between that and 1-1. But I've just got... we're predicting clean sheets. We've not really had too many of them. But... Again, I think it's a reflection of their attack rather than our defence per se. And at some point, I think when you're a man under pressure, I think when you go back to basics, you go really back to basics. And I think one of those things is, can I just get a clean sheet? Because then that way I'm not lost the match. And I wouldn't be surprised there's an element of that about us on Saturday, which is kind of because I felt against Nottingham Forest, I felt like the defence was dropping deeper. I felt like we abandoned the high line a little bit. Not just out of possession, in possession as well. That free kick we had on the halfway line was really telling because Kilman and Tadibo went back to the edge of our 18-yarder and Mavropanos turned and kicked it back to them. I thought, well, hang on a minute, we're going back 30 yards here. And Chris Wood was stood on the halfway line looking at them like, I ain't running after that. I'm not pressing you from here. And I thought, that's interesting. And that was something that I felt like I hadn't really seen from us before, but it felt very cautious, our defending against Everton. Obviously, it didn't work. Not Everton against Nottingham Forest. Did not work, conceded 3. But up until Chris Wood scored, I hadn't really conceded a chance. There wasn't really any opportunities for either team. It's quite a tight game. So I think we might see more of the same. But the difference is Forest had that little bit of quality to get through us. And then, but we need to get things right. We need to get the discipline right. Nobody can lose their head on Saturday. Otherwise, we're banging trouble. So 1-0 West Ham. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. If you fancy a Christmas jumper or one of our brand new mugs, go to hammerschatstore.com. If you fancy a little flutter, we're ahead of this game. The match bingo links in the description below. But before you disappear, please do drop a like on the video by clicking on thumbs up, subscribing to Hammer's Chat. Myself and Gonzo, we won't catch you on Saturday. We'll be at a wedding, but we'll catch up with you next week.